Ni hao, wo jiao Pizza Hoda. Um, I arrived from my trip to Wuhan, Beijing, approximately 2 weeks ago now. My trip was fabulous. I arrived in Wuhan on May the 8th, and I met my study buddy, Chris. Chris has an English name and a Chinese name, as do his friends. They have an English name so that we're able to communicate with them better. That was a great way of communication because Chinese names are a little bit difficult to pronounce. They gave me my Chinese name. My Chinese name was Pu Wei, which means eternal love, as hard as stone. Wei would be my family name. Some Chinese that I learned in Wuhan University was Hengao Jian Ni, which means nice to meet you, and Zhen Zai Ji Dian, I guess, which means what time is it? And a little bit about directions that I seem to have forgotten, like Zo, I seem to have forgotten it now. But we communicated about directions a lot when taking the taxi home. Cabbing was a great way of transportation there, as was the bus. Some attractions that we visited were the Yellow Crane Tower. I have a picture here of us visiting the Yellow Crane Tower right here. This was something that we took there as a group. There we go. So this over here is myself. This is my teacher in the background, and these are the rest of the students. The Yellow Crane Tower was a great attraction. I also have a little keychain. I don't have it with me here, but I have a little keychain that I bought from there as a souvenir. So that was really good. While walking to the Yellow Crane Tower, I found someone on the street and they were selling bead jewelry. Bead jewelry is one of the most common pieces of jewelry sold in China. Most of it is Buddhist or Tibet, but the one that I bought were Nepal beads. They were seed beads bought from Nepal. This is an example. These are little beads, seed beads. And the way that this gentleman was sealing them is through this source. And he said that they were handmade. A lot of the stuff along the sides in China is handmade. They have little stands and they make them on the stands and then they sell them for little money. Like I said, Buddhist is one of the most common beads. I also visited the Baoteng Temple, which is a Buddhist temple, and a photographer came to me and said, "Can I take your picture?" Because I was a foreigner, and taking pictures of foreigners is very common in China because they don't see foreigners very often. For example, when I was in Wuhan, we visited the Wuhan University as a school group, and all the students there were little kids who were also visiting it as part of their trip from their elementary or primary school, they call it. And when they were there, their teacher specifically asked our group if we could take a picture with them, and we said, sure, why not? So here is a little group picture that I saved to show you. So here are all the little kids here, Chinese and Tibet, and we took a picture with them. And here is me, myself, right there. My teacher, all the little kids. If I called them Piao Liang or Shui, I think that's how you say handsome, they were very happy if you complimented them. They wanted to talk with you, and I used my app. I have an app in my iPhone called Plucko, and what it did for me in my trip in China is it translated English to Chinese, Chinese to English, and I was able to communicate better with people on the street. Some of the most famous malls that we visited were Han Street. Han Street had all the different malls. Han Street also had Starbucks, which we have here in Vancouver, but Starbucks did not have sugar-free syrup, the kind that we have here in Vancouver. We also visited underground markets like Junko, and they had many different foods. I'm a vegetarian, so I had many tofus and pumpkin and tomato mushroom dumplings. Dumplings is a very famous festive food. I learned how to eat with chopsticks as well. Mulan Mountain is one of the best hiking sites of Wuhan. Here is a postcard given to me by my study buddy that shows a little bit of how Mulan Mountain may look like, just like that. And my study buddy gave me this. I also sent postcards from China to Canada, and we stamped it, and it took many stamps because the destination is so far from there to here. In my dormitory, there were small scorpions walking around, and I was very scared. But the next day, in one of the markets, I saw the same scorpions on a stick, fried and ready to eat. And people were actually eating these live animals, and I was very shocked. But over time, I got used to it because seafood and live critters to eat are very common and actually a delicacy of their meals and their diet. Next, I visited the Great Wall in Beijing, which was one of the best tourist attractions. Here is a little souvenir that I got when I was visiting the Great Wall. It comes in this package, and it's a little keychain right over here. There we go. And in the front, it says, it has a picture of the Great Wall. And in the back, it says Mr. Mao, and then the date, and it has her name on it. And it just basically says that I climbed the Great Wall because I did climb to the 7th tower of the Great Wall on the steep side. There's a steep side and one that is not so steep. I also bought little cards as souvenirs of the Great Wall. So if you take a look at these playing cards, just like this, they have many different pictures of the Great Wall. So if I was to rotate them right here, they would have a different scenery. This says the night place of battling section. Keep rotating them and it says it's another place, like a satellite view. It says, just if I do it this way, it says Mu Tianyu section of the Great Wall. So just it would give me many different insights as to where the different sections of the Great Wall are. I also heard that people go camping in the Great Wall and the hidden towers of the Great Wall. It was a pleasure to see the Great Wall. That day it was 40 degrees and I probably got the greatest tan lines. Other places we visited are the silk market. When I went to the silk market, my bargaining was very poor, but my friends, their bargaining was good, and they kept going lower and lower in price. When somebody began to walk away, the people would come after them and say, "The item is yours," because they really wanted to sell the item. Nothing had prices on it, and the custom is very different because in Vancouver, everything has prices. Beijing was a great destination because I also got to see Tiananmen Square at 4 o'clock, I guess, on the very last day before our flight back. My friends and I decided that we would walk to Tiananmen Square and we would decide to see the flag raising ceremony. Unfortunately, we missed it by 5 minutes, but we did get to see the ending just a teeny bit, and all that really happened was one flag went right up and just stayed up there, and that's basically it. But we just wanted to say that we participated in the ceremony. So overall, it was a great trip to both Beijing and to Wuhan. At the end of our trip in Wuhan, we all got these certificates stating that we did complete the co-op. I taught a little bit about Canada. They taught me about China. I also made sure that I grabbed an album of Wuhan, which would tell me and make sure I keep it in my memories all the different places that I visited, like the Yangtze River, where I took lanterns, paper lanterns, and I wrote my name on them, and everybody wrote their name on them, and then we made them fly into the sky saying that we came here and we're sending good wishes to China. And other memories, if we were to say, trying to pull out a really good one here. Let me see. The shore of the East Lake is shown right here. Donghu, I think we call it. The East Lake was probably one of the biggest lakes that I have bumped into. I was looking for a beach, but the East Lake did the trick because the East Lake was one of the largest water body extensions I have seen in a long time. And if you stood by it, you could just feel the effect of the East Lake come right onto you, as well as a little bit pollution. But East Lake was wonderful, and it was one of the main attractions. So now I will let you go and I will tell you that I would recommend doing a cultural exchange in Beijing and Wuhan for food, for the water bodies, for the attractions, for the language, for everything. It is wonderful and the people are heartwarming and very, very nice. 谢谢，再见。